Hello and welcome to the Daily Mill for Wednesday, the 6th of April 2022. Today's Millwall news, we've already touched on it in yesterday's video, but I thought I'd show this because the Sun newspaper put out a story, a good write-up. So this is about Paul Jiggins Media Suite being unveiled yesterday before the Swansea game. And is, like I've said, this is from the sun.co.uk, and it's written by Dave Kidd. It says, a fitting tribute to a true lion, Millwall unveiled Paul Jiggins Media Suite in memory of fan and Sun sport legend Jiggo. You don't tend to support a club like Millwall for the glory. The Sun's much loved and much lamented football writer Paul Jiggins, a Millwall supporter, man and boy, thick and thin, proud, most definitely loud, certainly didn't. And there's his wife Kelly and daughter Millie. When you follow a club outside of the elite, you are often driven by an ability to rejoice in the ordinary or laugh at the downright awful. You are also driven by a sense of belonging, of community, of being part of a footballing family, however dysfunctional. So Jiggo, who died last month at the age of 50, would have been touched and amused when his beloved club renamed their press facilities as the Paul Jiggins Media Suite before last night's championship defeat by Swansea. It was accompanied by pictures as well as the Sun's framed tribute thread to Jiggins. And Millwall tweeted a fitting tribute to a true lion. Paul's widow Kelly, along with their daughter Millie, watched Lions chairman John Belson and chief executive Steve Kamler unveil that tribute. Kelly claimed her husband would probably have asked where his bleeding statue was. Those of us who spent hours of their life sitting next to Jiggins in press boxes will concur. He never stopped talking, never stopped quipping, never stopped punning, never stopped suggesting intros. The devilish mind beneath that ginger bonce of his seemed to whir at a million miles per hour, and often when you'd given up telling him to stop bending your ear, you'd recognise moments of true genius. Jiggo was proud to work for the Sun, where he had risen from a messenger to become one of our leading writers. The no one likes us, we don't care ethos burned within him. Millwall, like your dear old current bun, is not always universally popular, but Jiggo had a fierce affiliation to both. He had many dear friends within both institutions, and he cherished them. He first watched Millwall with his late father Ronnie at the Old Den, that infamous but atmospheric old wreck down Coldblow Lane. He'd walk those surrounding Jack the Ripper alleyways through police horse shit to the crumbling terraces, the barbed wire and the stuff of his childhood dreams. Jiggo saw his club briefly lead the top flight in 1988, contest the FA Cup final in 2004, and venture into Europe for one fixture. Yeah, I was just thinking about this earlier today when I read that. People, like, he's around about 10 years older than I am. If you're of that age, you've had the best. You've probably had the best run of being a Millwall supporter for a very long time. 2 seasons in the top flight, the promotion to the top flight first before that, 87-88, which was pretty incredible. The 2 seasons in the top flight, the one where we finished in the top 10 in the first year, and sadly the one where we ended up getting relegated the year after. Several playoffs, playoff finals, trips to Wembley, the Auto Windscreen Shield against, luckily, a really small club in Wigan who won that was supported, so we managed to have like 55,000 Millwall fans there. It was actually quite incredible the noise they made. So you've seen all of that. I mean, it's pretty incredible. Ferenc Varos in the before we get to that, a couple of days ago, the 18-year anniversary of the fourth Sunderland semi-final in the FA Cup, which was probably more, in my opinion, more memorable and more impactful than the actual cup final, because at that point you're just dreaming. You're just like, oh, we need, if we win this, we're in a final. We're in a final, and then you get to the final, and you realise you've got to play Man United with Ruud van Nistelrooy and Ronaldo and players like that, and you think, oh, was Roy Keane playing then? And you're thinking, oh fuck, and then you end up getting walloped. So that semi-final was a lot better than that, and of course we end up going through into the UEFA Cup as cup runners-up, and Ferencváros home and away. You've seen some pretty decent games. The cup runs recently, beating 3 Premier League teams in the same season. Various cup runs, trips to Wembley, playoff final. The one that we didn't win, but we scored a goal, and then the one that we did actually win. Yeah, so people, Millwall fans of each generation, have seen a hell of a lot of good stuff from Millwall, and not really that many lows compared to before, playing in Division 3 South, Division 4, that kind of thing. So yeah, there you go. Where were we? But following Millwall is not really about those glimpses of starlight. It's more about the away days, the beers, the scrapes, and the mates made. Before kick-off last night, they held a minute's applause for Jigo, and on the den's big screen there was an image of the man himself in his Herbert flat cap celebrating a late Millwall equaliser in the away end at Bramall Lane. He was one of them, and as probably the highest profile Millwall supporting sports writer, there were plenty of sewage storms for Jigo to help his club navigate. Jigo was a popular journalist, never a cheerleader, yet he was a genuine friend to Millwall when they needed one, which was often. He was a regular on the club's Wall Talk podcast, where he had interviewed former Lions player manager Mick McCarthy days before he died. Millwall had been on an 8-game unbeaten run, propelling themselves into the playoff picture, but have now failed to win in 3. Joel Perreault netted with a low drive at the start of the second half. The locals made plenty of din as Millwall strive for an equaliser. George Saville, Danny McNamara, Jed Wallace and Ben Kofobi all going close. In the prospect box, though, it was much quieter than usual, and we wished it wasn't so. And there you go. Quiet because obviously Paul Jiggins wasn't there. So there you have it. Just wanted to share that with you. Decent write-up there. Yeah. Moving on now to this from millfc.co.uk. Jake Cooper, nominated for March 2022 PFA Virtue Motors Player of the Month Award. Wow. Now to be honest with you, we're into like April now. I had no idea what the hell this is. I know PFA were doing awards. I thought they only did end of year awards and team of the season awards. Didn't know they were doing a player of the month award. Apparently you can vote for the award. So obviously no, I don't think any Millwall players been in it this season, because I don't remember having to vote for it. But let's read. Jake Cooper has been nominated for the March 2022 PFA Virtue Motors Sky Bet Championship Player of the Month award. Cooper, who kept 4 clean sheets in 5 matches and scored the winner at Reading during the month, is up for the award against 5 of his fellow second-tier colleagues. So he's one of 6, and you can vote for the defender to win now. To vote for Jake, click here. Voting closes on Monday 11th. And if you click there, it takes you to the 90 Minutes website, which the former magazine. I don't know if it's still going, probably not, but it's a website now. 90 Minutes. I clicked on the link. For some reason, it didn't come up for me, so I don't know what the hell's going on there. But he's up against Johnson Clark Harris, Jake Cooper, Sander Berge, Dominic Solanke, Lewis Baker, and Carlon Grant. Have they had decent months? A month? Don't know. It's a bit, but is it Virtu or Ventu? Because up here it says Ventu, and down here it says Ventu. Ventu. Who cares? I don't know. But maybe click on that if you want to help Jake Cooper win out. I don't know what he gets. So moving on to this from Gary Rowett, talking about the failed playoff attempt this season. This from londonnewsonline.co.uk. We knew top 6 was a massive challenge anyway. So it's like, yeah, well, it was fucking hard anyway, so who cares, you know? Like, why is everyone upset? Fucking chill out. Lions boss were out on playoff hopes. Gary Rowett reckons Millwall were already facing a massive challenge to reach the Championship playoffs, even before last night's 1-0 home loss to Swansea City. The Lions are 10th in the standings and their top 6 prospects look a lot slimmer after the reverse of the Den. And I've said this before, we needed to win that Luton game because they had our team that we were chasing. Because the other teams, Forest and there's someone else, they have games in hand. So if we just give them some points now, that pushes them up. Forest play one at their game tonight. They beat Coventry 2-0, I believe. So when they play their other game in hand, boom, they're going to be third. We're not chasing Forest, and that moves everyone else down. Because then Blackburn come out, so we're not chasing Blackburn, we're chasing Luton. We were chasing Luton. We needed to win that game. Because it was a 6-point gap, we would have won that game. It would have been a 3-point gap, and we were chasing Luton and Middlesbrough. Yeah, it's especially I think Middlesbrough lost 1-0 to Fulham tonight as well. So yeah, the line. But Rowett is determined that his side keep pushing right up until the finishing line, with relegation threatening Barnsley next up in SC16 this weekend. It will probably be a lot more frustrating if we were sat in mid-table with nothing to play for at this stage, said the Millwall boss. Let's see where it takes us. We knew the top 6 was a massive challenge anyway. When you're 4 points off it with a poorer goal difference, you know you've probably got to win 2 more games than a lot of the teams with 7 or 6 games to go. Teams like Forest and Middlesbrough. You need other teams to go on a wobble and have a great run yourself. If we can start Saturday and pick up 3 points, we go on to the next one. It won't be easy against Barnsley. So now, so you're saying it won't be easy against Barnsley, but we need to win that game. Yeah, it's done. Yeah. I said we needed to beat Luton. I said we could draw it, but it would just kick it down the road, and we would need to win the next game, and we didn't do that, so it's done. It is absolutely done. Now, could something strange happen? Could there be another COVID wave coming through? I don't know. There's apparently some Omicron XC, extra large Omicron coming through. I don't know. Maybe that could hit the teams that are competing, but not us. But then their games would just get. Will they force them to play their game? Maybe will they? I imagine they'll have to play it. They can't just postpone it because the playoff final date is set and the location is set. So they'll probably just have to play the game and just suck it up. So if that is it over? No, it's not over. It's still possible, but I mean, come on, be realistic. It's over. So moving on now to this. The club have dropped this today as well. They've opened up the voting for the 21-22 MSC Player of the Season. Who is your man? Now, I'm probably going to do a separate video on this. I did one last season as well. Yes. So let's get into this. This is obviously from the club's official website. Voting for Millwall Football Club's 21-22 MSC Player of the Season is now open. Will Bartosz Białkowski retain his trophy for a third successive season? Has the form of Jed Wallace throughout the campaign done enough for you to award the attacker the accolade? Or will the award go to one of Millwall's loan signings? Has it ever gone to a loan signing before? Such as Danny Ballard and Benik Phoebe. Murray Wallace has earned the adulation of the Den faithful, whilst names such as Jake Cooper, Sean Hutchinson, Billy Mitchell and Tom Bradshaw will also be in the mix. Vote for your favourite here. If you're voting for the Junior Lions Player of the Season, then please click yes in the Are You a Junior Lion box. Votes can also be placed before match day and the Millwall Supporters Club awning, which you will find next to the SC16 bar if you visit millwallsupportersclub.co.uk. So there seems to be a number of ways to vote. you could do it before Saturday's game. The voting closes on Friday the 29th of April. No time there, but before now and then we have games against Barnsley, Preston North End, Hull and Birmingham. So if you haven't already made up your mind, maybe you have a little think about it while you're watching these games, and then you'll vote after the Birmingham game, or maybe not. Now, I've already said I'm going to be voting for Murray Wallace. I like that type of player. I like players who are growers, not showers. I like players who come in who aren't all, they're not really all that, but they improve, they get better over seasons and that kind of thing. I like that. I like defensive players. I like tough tackling players, and I like players who are direct. I like that kind of style. But a lot of so seeing the reaction online to this opening, obviously what people are like, who you voting for, a lot of people obviously saying Murray Wallace, so he's in the contention obviously with a lot of people. A lot of people saying Danny McNamara, which kind of surprised me, but I don't know why I should be so surprised, because when you actually think about it, like he's just been getting on with it, and you don't really think about what's happened to him, how he was on loan, he's come back, he's gone into the team, he's been performing absolutely fucking brilliantly, and he's still a young lad. But you kind of like, you just ignore it because, well, he's just playing like he's been there for a long time. And again, I don't know, you kind of take him for granted, if that makes sense. So I can understand why a lot of people are going for Danny McNamara, but I think, to be honest, I think there's a lot more to come from Danny McNamara, and I look forward to seeing that hopefully next season, maybe even 5 seasons, or before that if we get promoted. Hopefully he'll play a commanding role in our promotion from this division. And another name that was mentioned obviously was goalkeeper Bart Biakowski. So not many others apart from those 3 that I've seen, so it seems to be between Murray Wallace, Danny McNamara and Bart Biakowski. So we'll see. Maybe it's down to, if you haven't already cast your vote, these 4 games coming up, what those 3 players do in these 4 games. And obviously Murray Wallace didn't have well, he did play quite well in yesterday's game, but he was accredited an error which led to that goal. I think it was a bit harsh. It kind of just, he tried to clear it, but just kind of hit him instead of going away. He kind of just deadened the ball, and no one was expecting the guy to shoot. He just shoot first time. So we will see what happens in the next 4 games. But yeah, I think Murray Wallace is my choice, and I think he's probably the number 1 contender. And I think surprisingly, Danny McNamara is maybe up there, not that far behind, surprisingly. A lot of people, the type of, what would you say, the ones who want Millwall players, like, they support a player who's Millwall born and bred, that kind of fan. They're the ones going for Danny McNamara. We got to remember, is a lot of the big names from Millwall's past weren't really Millwall born and bred. I mean, Harry Cripps is West Ham, Sheringham, players like that, Neil Harris, they weren't Millwall born and bred, but they become Millwall born and bred, if that makes sense, for playing here. They got into they loved it so much. It's such an idiosyncratic situation here, the fans. You don't really get Millwall type fans anywhere in the country, to be honest. Yeah, it's kind of a unique club, and you can see players that come here and they just absolutely fail, and then they go somewhere else and they're like really good, and you're like, well, obviously they couldn't cut it at Millwall. So that's how it goes. But we will see what happens. We will see. We're going to move on now to stats from yesterday's game. If you're not interested in that and you're going to bail out, thank you for watching. But we're going to go, it's going to be a bit of a short one because we don't have the experimental 361 XG goal line. So we're just going to jump into the shot map from infogoal.net. If you look in the middle though, they have the XG as 1.28 for Swansea and 0.99 for Millwall. They have the match events there, obviously 2 yellow cards for them, 1 yellow card for us at the end. They made 3 substitutions after we made our 2 on the hour mark, which is a bit of a lot. I mean, Rowett himself said a lot of fans were saying, why don't you make changes at half time? Because obviously it wasn't the first half. I'm going to show you, we couldn't really get the ball off them, couldn't really get any shots off, and like, what are you waiting for? Is it's not going to fucking improve. Obviously you probably had a word with them at half time and said la la blah blah blah, and then they went out there and conceded straight away. So that obviously worked. The team talk, maybe should have just made a couple of changes and put some fresh legs on there, because we're playing Saturday, Tuesday, and you just played the same team while they made 4 changes. But what can you do? Anyway, here we go. So here we go. These are the shots that each team had, where they were on the pitch, and the XG of them. XG, the bigger the ball, the bigger the XG. XG basically means it's a fucking good chance. So the bigger the ball, the bigger the chance. The better the chance. And you can see here, pretty much similar from both teams actually. We had one big chance that was Benicophobe right at the end. That was a 37%er, and they had one big chance, Obafemi on 11, which was well saved by Mark Biakowski, and both teams didn't actually score their best chance. They scored this one here. You can see they had 3 in the same place there. It's so small. I'm trying to click on it, I can't actually click on it, it's so small. There's Obafemi's one, there's Patterson's one, there's obviously the goal from Peru. That was a 6% chance, but you can see they also had these 3 long shots from halfway between the goal and halfway line. So obviously we didn't have any of that. We were trying to get in and around the area. We had basically all of our shots from inside the area, bar 2 it looks like. 1 was on the line, but I'll show you now first half compared to the second half, and why Rowett probably should have made changes at half time. There you go, 4 shots in the first half. 4 shots compared to them. So we were getting battered. And we were lucky it was 0-0. So in a game you need to win, when you're getting battered and you're lucky you got out to half time and it's 0-0, make some fucking changes. Not just in tactically or talking to the players about what they should be doing. Like, take some players off and put some players on. And second half, you can see there's a lot more going on for Millwall, and a lot less going on for Swansea, restricting them. But obviously that is probably a result of them being 1-0 up and then just playing keeper ball at the back. You can see here, yeah. If we scroll down, fairness rating, was that a fair result based on the quality of the chances above? They give it a 77.06 out of 100, so fair-ish. Probably could have been a 1-1. Probably would have been absolutely fairer than that, but what can you do? So we're going to move on now to this from whoscored.com, and this is the match report. And if you look on the right hand side, you can see there top 5 players, Swansea players. There you go. Millwall created a high number of chances relative to their possession. You see all the chances we had on the previous page. Our possession was like 40%. We're effective at creating goals, scoring opportunities from set pieces. Yeah, we had something like 10 corners as well, and didn't score from one, which was, yeah, we're poor at finishing. Yeah, no shit. Committed a high number of individual errors, and he has Swansea strengths and no weaknesses, and yeah. And here you go. So Millwall on the left hand side obviously as your home team, which is weird because we're in this kind of reddy orange colour and Swansea are in the blue, but here's what it is. This is what this website does. Attempts 13 to 14 to Millwall 13, Swansea 14, open play 7 to 10, set pieces 6 to 3, counter attack 0 to 1, and that means we had 13 shots and 0 goals. They had 14 and 1, so that's 7% conversion rate for them. So they were huffing and puffing, but not really doing much up front. We were mostly going down the right hand side. They were going down the right hand side as well. Shot directions there. Shot zones. Obviously, we're seeing mostly in the box for Millwall. Action zones. Yeah. Most of it in the middle, or no, in the away third because they were just passing it around. Player positions. Now that's a weird one for Millwall. That is a weird shape for Millwall. Where's the width? Malone tucking in. Number 11, Malone. Weird. Was he doing a lot of defending? Weird that both goalkeepers have the number 33 as well. That was odd. So you can see Benekofovu would was that Bradshaw playing the point man, with Benekofovu playing deeper role. That's reverse of what they did at Luton. That's weird. Manny McNamara playing quite high, but this is quite weird. Malone playing tucked in. McNamara himself being quite tucked in as well, not playing much width, but there you go. Moving now, we're going to move on to the actual events of the match, and let's have a look. So if you look here, you can see, if you look at the top by the club badges, the average player ratings. If you add up all the ratings divided by the number of players, 6.42 to Millwall, 6.84 to Swansea, so slightly better for Swansea. In terms of the general team, 11,670 there for that. That's not bad, I suppose. Yeah. So Peru, man of the match, just the counting that he scored the goal, probably. And in terms of Millwall, not a lot. Did anyone get above? Malone got above 7. Malone 7.0. Everyone else below that. Billy Mitchell 5.9. That's low for him. And the subs seem to have quite decent scores, considering they were subs. Murray Wallace given the error there. You see the E. Error led to goal. A bit harsh. So let's have a look at total shots. So they had one more shot than us, as we've just seen. Nearly everyone on the pitch except for Wolf and Grimes. And basically the same for us. Everyone on the pitch except for Malone and Mitchell had a shot, on the account of all the corners that we had. Possession wise, 31.6% to 69%. Yeah, they just kept on holding on to the ball. You can see here, Norton with 10% of the match possession just for himself. Grimes with 9% just for himself. Even their goalie was holding on to the ball, 5.4. Holy moly. Pass success percentage, well obviously they were doing tippy tappy stuff. So it's 75 to 87. For us, Malone was 91. Saville with 84, Cooper with 85. But you compare that to them, Norton 95, Grimes 95. So obviously Norton and Grimes were probably passing it between themselves. Obafemi with 91, and how do you pronounce it? Lati Badoubiye? Lati Badoubiye? Let me try. Lati Boudier 91. I think I got it. Dribbles 8 to 7. So Murray Wallace and Jed Wallace, the twins, both going on dribbles. Aerials 1. Now we absolutely smashed them in this, 21 to 14. Tackles 16 to 9. Obviously, we're the ones having to do a lot more tackling, trying to get the ball off them and trying to stop them going forward with Obafemi and whatnot. Corners, here we go, 10 to 5. I told you we had all corners. These are the ones who took them. 6 for Wallace, 4 for Malone, 0 goals. Dispossessed, 5 to 7. So our front three having the ball taken off of them. So there you have it. Now we're going to move on to player stats. So as we've seen, Scott Malone 7.03, the only Millwall player to get a 7 or above. How does that compare to the Swansea players that we've just seen? So that would put him 7th overall in the match. So the 6 best players on the pitch were Swansea players, half the team, or at least, yeah. And Jed Wallace not far behind, Danny Ballard, Bart Biakowski up there, and Danny McNamara. Murray Wallace quite low down because he got given that error, 6.27. One thing to look out for is, so the subs coming on. So Miko Keftenbell coming on for George Saville gets a 6.42 compared to George's 6.17, which is not good. Like I've said this before, George Saville had 59 minutes on the pitch and he got this score. Miko Keftenbell has less time on the pitch but gets a higher score. When a sub comes on for you and he gets a higher score than you, it's not good. It means you weren't playing that well. Shea Yojo comes on for Jed Wallace, doesn't get as big a score as he does. But Oliver Burke comes on to Tom Bradshaw and just pips him. So obviously maybe Miko Keftenbeld and Oliver Burke should have started for Bradshaw and Saville. Maybe that should have been something that was happened, or maybe Benikovabi even, because he had a low score here, 6.1. So in terms of touches, who had the most touches? The 64 for Murray Wallace, and Murray Wallace getting involved. Danny Ballard 63, and then drops off to Malone on 50, and drops off even more after Jay Cooper to Benikovabi, 40 to 27. So let's have a look at, obviously, look at that. 119 touches for Norton, 111 Matt Grimes, playing tippy tappy, keeping the ball. Let's move on now to offense in terms of shots and shots on target. The shots, all of these players having shots, basically headers as well. 9 different players. How many shots on target? 2. That's fucking pitiful, isn't it? That is absolutely fucking pitiful. Let's add all this up. 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Yeah, there's a 13. 13 shots, only 2 on target. Holy fucking moly. Let's see how many shots on target Swansea had, because seeing as they scored the 1 goal, quite a few. 2, 3, 4, 5. So obviously that's why Bar got a decent score this week defensively. Total tackles, 4 for Danny Ballard, 3 for Murray Wallace and George Saville. 7 different players having tackles. Nice. Interceptions, 3 for Murray Wallace. So Murray Wallace at the top again. Clearances, Murray Wallace at the top. Block shots, Murray Wallace at the top. There you go. So he did his defensively work. We should have got him a higher rating, but because he got that error of the goal on his account, that messed him up. So passing wise, yeah, I think we've seen all we need to see there. I think that's it for this week. Thank you for this day. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.